A raven landed on the girl's coffin during the funeral. Then, the unthinkable happened. As mourners gathered around the girl's coffin, a hush fell over the crowd when a lone raven suddenly landed atop it. The eerie sight sent chills through those in attendance, but what happened next was even more astonishing. In that moment, the unthinkable unfolded, leaving everyone in stunned disbelief. Patricia was a beautiful young girl who grew up in a warm and loving family. One day, her father gave her an unusual gift, a tiny baby crow. Caring for it taught Patricia responsibility and deepened their bond. Tragically, she passed away unexpectedly, leaving her loved ones in grief. But during her funeral, as the crow landed on her coffin, something truly incredible happened. At just 6 years old, Patricia was strong, beautiful, and full of independence. She loved spending time in the garden, watching plants and insects with curiosity. She ran, jumped, played among the trees, scraped her knees, and embraced every moment of her carefree childhood. Life in her small village in the UK was slow and peaceful, a perfect backdrop for her adventurous spirit. Patricia's mother stayed home, dedicating her days to caring for the house and her beloved daughter, while her father, a sailor, often spent weeks, sometimes months, at sea. Patricia missed him dearly and cherished every moment when he finally returned. She not only loved spending time with him, but also delighted in the strange and wonderful gifts he brought from his travels. Over the past few years, he had brought her seashells from a Caribbean beach, exotic sculptures from some Middle Eastern country, as well as books and toys from all over Europe and America. Patricia eagerly stood at the gate, waiting for her father to come down the street. This time he had been gone for 2 months and was expected to return home at any moment. Suddenly, she saw her father slowly walking down the street. Patricia squealed with joy and ran to him, throwing herself into his arms. She hugged him tightly and kissed him on the cheek. But she noticed something. There was no gift. Usually her dad would immediately hand her something wrapped in gift paper, but not this time. That's when he knelt down and placed something in her hand. She jumped slightly, feeling something move in her palm, looked down, and saw a tiny baby crow. Her father told her it was a little raven. He asked her to protect and take care of it like a real human child. Patricia was startled, but her face lit up when she realized the great responsibility that lay on her shoulders. Over the next few weeks, Patricia spent all her time with the raven. She fed it, gave it water, and even taught it a few tricks. Ravens are very intelligent birds, and her pet quickly understood what the little girl was trying to teach it. The baby bird also began to grow and learn to fly within a few weeks. Patricia would take it outside and watch in adoration as it soared in the sky. It could easily fly away and never return, but it always found its way back to its owner. It was clear that there was a strong bond between the girl and the bird. But one day, tragedy struck. While in the garden, lying under a large tree, Patricia suddenly stopped breathing and grabbed her throat. The raven began to scream loudly, and within a few minutes, Patricia's parents came to the window to see what was going on. Seeing their daughter lying on the ground, they rushed outside and grabbed her. Ignoring the raven, they shoved the girl into the car and drove her to the nearest hospital. The raven sat in the tree and watched as their car drove away. Upon arriving at the hospital, the doctors quickly began to check Patricia's lungs. A young and healthy girl shouldn't have any breathing problems, so it was important for them to scan her lungs to ensure there were no issues. Time was of the essence, as a lack of oxygen could cause serious and irreversible damage. All this time, her parents watched the proceedings with tears in their eyes. Despite all the doctors' efforts, unfortunately, Patricia was declared dead. Meanwhile, the raven sat outside the hospital room window and continued to peck, but the staff decided to chase it away. There was no place for such a bird in the hospital. It couldn't be let in, even if it was a pet. As Patricia's parents drove home, the raven pecked at their car, making a lot of noise again. The grieving people ignored it. As soon as they returned home and began preparing for the funeral, the raven continued trying to get their attention. But they had no time for that. Soon the day of Patricia's funeral arrived. Her parents, relatives, and friends mourned the little girl, who lay motionless in her small coffin. The lid was opened so that people could say their goodbyes. In the coffin, she looked so fragile and innocent, as if she were some precious porcelain doll. Many people cried as they passed by Patricia, stroking her face and kissing her cheek. The raven sat in a nearby tree, watching what was happening. From time to time, it would fly down and circle above the gathered crowd, making loud sounds. Patricia's parents held their breath as the raven finally descended and landed on the coffin, curiously looking at its owner's body. Suddenly, the bird began to make a strange buzzing sound, as if asking a question. It hopped back and forth from the lid to the edge of the coffin and then back again. After a few minutes, the bird began to peck at Patricia's body, as if trying to wake her up. Patricia's parents were touched to see such a sight, and although they understood that the raven must have sensed its form of grief, they knew it couldn't stay there pecking at the girl. They tried to shout at it, but it didn't move and even began to peck at her mouth. Such behavior seemed shameful for the family, but concealed a secret motive that everyone was about to discover. Approaching the open coffin, the father waved his hands to scare the bird away. The raven flapped its wings and let out a piercing cry before reluctantly taking flight, settling on the nearest tree, its gaze fixed intently below. All eyes followed the bird's short ascent, but when they turned back to the coffin, they froze. Patricia was sitting up. Resting on her lap was a small apple, no bigger than a walnut, the very thing that had lodged in her throat after falling from the tree where she had been lying in the garden. When Patricia was rushed to the hospital, doctors initially suspected a problem with her lungs and performed a chest X-ray, which revealed nothing abnormal. They never thought to check her throat. As her oxygen levels dropped, she slipped into a coma and was mistakenly declared dead, even though she was still taking slow, shallow breaths. Patricia looked up at her mother and father as they rushed to her, wrapping her in tearful hugs and kisses. Their daughter was alive. Stunned, they realized the raven had known all along. It had desperately tried to communicate with them, but they hadn't understood. The bird pecking at Patricia's face and mouth had been its way of clearing the blockage, fighting to bring her back. Fortunately, it had just enough time to save her life. What an incredible story! If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment below. See you in the next video.